What up, though? Welcome back to the Living Noir podcast. Thank you very much for kicking it with me. I am your host, Delaney, of course. We are in for a good one today. Of course, I'm always say that they're good because I'm making them. Duh. They have to be great. They have to be, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't really. I honestly, in any of this, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just rolling with the punches, so roll with them with me. You feel me? So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Got a good episode today. And before I actually kind of get into it, I just wanted to take another moment and I wanted to thank my guest that came on last week, DJ Nico Marie. She is fantastic, man. That episode was so dope. Like, the conversation was just so natural, and her energy, it's so light and heavy at the same time. You know what I mean? It was just one of those synergies that actually just meshes. So shout out to DJ Nico Marie. If you hadn't checked out that last episode with the interview with her and her YouTube journey and her channel and how it's blowing up, go back and check it. And then make sure that you subscribe to her YouTube channel as well. While we're on the subject of subscribing, let's take a moment. So make sure that you're subscribed to the Living Noir podcast, which you can get on your podcasting platforms such as Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, I think too. So you can listen to it on all of those platforms. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well. So that way I upload all of the videos there, so you can check it out on YouTube. And follow the Facebook page, and you can follow me on Instagram as well, so you can stay up to date when I'm releasing all the content. Interact with me, talk to me, let me know what you want to hear more about, or just, I thrive off of just the knowledge of knowing that, like, what I'm saying is reaching someone. I'm speaking a lot about my personal journeys, of course, but the purpose of that is to give back and to give to someone who may be going through a similar situation, and just be there. I don't have all of the answers, but I feel like this is a part where I can give back and be a little bit more vulnerable about the things that I'm going through, because I'm sure we all have our heads down. You know what I'm saying? We all have our heads down trying to grind it out, and we all think that we're doing it alone, but we're not. We're not always doing it alone. Somebody else may be going through the same situation. So I just hope that this is giving you that knowledge of knowing that, like, you're not in this alone. It's, there are other people in the same situation, how they handled it, learning more about yourself and how to, like, actually, like, dig into that. That's a whole journey in itself. So thank you again for the support. Thanks for listening. But let's pretty much get into it. So I wanted to clear something up really quick, right? So I think at this point I might be, this is the 8th episode. So yeah, this is like 2 months in. And I'm really happy that I started this podcast. Like I just mentioned, the platform was basically so that I can be vulnerable about things that I'm learning more about myself, and, dealing with, like, high functioning anxiety, trying to be an adult, trying to be a husband, trying to be a better family man, better friend, all of those things, right? I tend to put myself in situations, of course, where it's like I'm putting a lot more pressure on myself, and it takes away a little bit from the authenticity. And I found that, like, trying to come up with these ideas on, like, how these weekly podcasts should work, like what I should talk about, it makes me feel like a little bit more structured than I wanted to show the flow like. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that I said on the opening of the show about how, it's dynamic, and I want to use it as a platform for creating generational wealth, learning more about ourselves, and also, generational wealth, financial freedom, all of those things. Those are the cornerstones of what this podcast is about. And I also want to talk about what's going on in the world around me, right? Like, and just anything that I can do to kind of, like, help with documenting on what's going on in the world and how I can help give some positivity back to my people by telling stories about what I'm going through or shooting the shit about what just happened this week, invoking conversations, having interviews, discussion, opinions, and sports, pop culture, like all of that, unlearning unhealthy generational behaviors, like being in a marriage, being in a relationship. Like we all can relate on some aspect, you know? So it's all of that. I put more pressure in trying to like focus on trying to like stay on the surface of what the show is about, because I don't want it to come off as like I'm straying away from those things. But I mean, if you rock with me, you rock with me, right? And obviously all of those things are a part of what I want to do with the show. But this is really an extension of me, like this podcast is. So it's like, it's cool because I'm creating a community. And at this early stage, like listeners who are listening now, they're more like they're friends and family members. And a few of you are like maybe some early supporters, which I'm extremely thankful for. But I think as we build, or as I build, as we build, it's going to be a larger community, and it will be more of like a conversation that I'm having with you personally every week, and we're just chopping it up, right? So with all that being said, let's get into today's episode. So I just wanted to talk, basically, this one, I don't know how long this will be. It probably won't be as long. I'm not sure. But I just wanted to talk about two things, right? I'm introducing my goal for this month. And I want to talk about the time that I went skydiving and what I learned from that experience. And then of course, the audiobook of the week is at the end of at the end of the episode. That's what I'm saying. Like we'll talk about the audiobook of the week. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get it. All right, y'all. Now this ad is brought to you by Crazy J's Kitchen. And it's strictly for my Detroit family out there, right? So next time lunchtime rolls around and you're swamped at work and you really can't get out, hit up Crazy J's Kitchen. They have the best burrito tacos in the city, period, hands down, bar none. I don't care who, you can go to Mexican Town, whatever. My man is killing it, okay? Chef Chuck is okay, the burrito tacos that he has is fire. I've seen him actually put it together. And when people said that they make the sauce from scratch, sometimes they cap. This dude actually makes his sauce from scratch every time, and every time it is extremely fire. But don't take my word for it. Try it out for yourself. Again, my Detroit family, you're looking for some burrito tacos, hit up Crazy J's Kitchen. Make sure you follow him on Instagram at Crazy J's Kitchen. That's CrazyJayskitchen. Crazy J's Kitchen. He delivers. So follow him on Instagram for his menu and also store updates as well. So check him out. Let him know that I sent you there too to try out those burrito tacos and see what you think about it. But now let's get back into the show. So now I want to get into the goal of the month. I've been heavily talking about goals with you guys because they're so important to get where we want to get to. We have to set a goal for it, right? Even because we do it already. We talk about it already, right? Man, I want to do that. I want to do this. I want that promotion, or I want to make $1 million, or whatever it is. It's like we already talked to ourselves about it. So like, let's take the next step to actually achieving it. Let's put it down on paper. Let's be accountable. And I think that's what I'm doing with this goal of the month thing that I wanted to share with you guys, because it's giving me a reason to be more accountable, hold myself more accountable, right? Stay accountable to accomplishing my goals, being accountable to improving myself and sticking with this podcast, right? So like, my idea is to basically come up, while I was thinking about all of this, I came up with the idea of starting the goal of the month and actually like talking about it on the podcast. because the idea is to talk about it and break down how I can accomplish one goal that I set out for myself every month. And at the start of the goal, I want to break down like all of the aspects of how I'm going to hold myself accountable. And for this, I'm using the SMART method of setting a goal. So SMART goals, and SMART stands for, what does SMART stand for? Jesus. I wrote it down. Don't give me a second. SMART stands for specific. S, right. Specific. And then the next one is measurable. I am tweaking right now, y'all. Measurable. Okay. You want to make sure that one, it's specific. So you have like, it's not just a surface level thing. So what I did, well, I'll talk about what I did, but specific, measurable. Oh my Jesus. Did I write them down? Oh, this is bad. Achievable, relevant, and time bound. So let me do that again. I'm so sorry, guys, but as you can see, it doesn't matter. I'm doing this stuff on the fly, but like I did write all of this out, by the way. I just couldn't locate it. But SMART goals. They're specific. They're measurable. They're achievable. They're relevant, and they're time bound, right? So I'm using that to break down what my goal for this month is going to be. This way, it'll give me something that I can actually practice. And also it's going to help me stay accountable to what I'm doing. Of course, I'm a work in progress, right? And I don't have it all together. I do a lot to better myself, of course, but I'm not always consistent, right? I'm human just like you are. If I cut myself, I bleed just like you do. So this week, we're going to start out with something that I'm kind of already doing, but this is going to help me be a little bit more structured. So the goal for this month is for me to reduce both my body fat and BMI percentages, which BMI is body mass index, by 2 percentage points. That should be pretty interesting, right? So how am I going to prepare for it? Well, voiced, I got to figure out where I start at, right? You got to figure out your starting point. So in order for me to do that, I had to figure out what my measurements are. So I've already weighed myself. I've done the measurements and I found out the percentages. If you're looking for body fat percentage measurement or how to best do it, you can just Google it. I think the one of the things that I found was that, I have the tape measurements, like the ones that tailors use and stuff like that. So I just wrapped it around my ab section and my neck. And I forgot how the formula works, but I was able to like plug in the numbers and they were able to help me with finding out the percentage of the body fat. Reach out to me and let me know if you actually want a link to those sites or anything like that. Let me know and I can get that for you. I'll just shoot it over to you, shoot me a DM, whatever. But as of recording, as of today, I am 6 foot, 290 pounds. My body fat percentage is 35% and my BMI is at 41%. Now, according to both of those charts of where the thresholds should be in regards to where you should be regarding body fat percentage, I'm in the obese category. Big ups to me, right? So my overall goal for the year is to drop those percentages like by 8 to 10%, right? Now that I got where I'm starting at, I got to figure out how I'm going to attack the plan, right? How am I going to actually do this? And the best thing, of course, is making sure that I'm taking the correct measures to properly do this. I just repeated that sentence over. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, eating and exercise is going to be really essential to getting this done, right? So before I put this plan together, I've been working on my nutrition already, and I've already put in, like, before this goal even came about, I had already been doing some of these steps already. So I just really assessed what I had already been doing that I can implement into this goal. So these are a couple things that I've already been doing before even like strategizing how I'm going to attack this goal. So For starters, as much as I love and I miss bacon, I have not had pork since November of 2021, or at least under my own consent, right? So as long as I can remember since then, I have not had pork. And I do miss bacon, but I never really miss pork like that. But nevertheless, so no pork. Second thing is my dairy intake. I don't really have a lot of dairy, right? I can't tell you the last time that I had milk, right? Like just true, like whole milk, 2% milk, skim milk, any of that. It had to at least been like 6 or 7 years or something like that. I mean, like, it's been a minute since I've had milk. Now cheese is a little different. I want to say back in like 2018, the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, for like a year and a half in that period, I went strictly no cheese. I wasn't eating cheese, and it was cool. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of like one of those people where it's like, you have to point it out to me if you see something different about me. Cause I mean, obviously I see myself every day, but a lot of people were saying, my skin was clearing up. I was dropping lbs, whatever the case may be. But I went like a year and a half without eating it. And I forgot how I started back up, but I started back up a little bit of eating cheese, kind of like getting it back in there. And like during that time, I missed it, but I also, it's like I missed it, but I also still had some sort of self-control to where it was like, nah, I don't want that. You know what I mean? I want to get to a point to where like I can reintroduce it, and then it's not like I'm back on the wagon or whatever. Like I can eat it for a time, and then I can go back and be like, nah, I don't want to eat cheese. I don't want that. Right. So, but currently I don't eat cheese unless it's date night. So, I have not consistently had dairy products or dairy products since around the same time. I want to say like November of 2021, outside of the occasional date night and stuff like that. But I don't really do the dairy part. So no pork, no dairy. The next thing is that like my body at this point is kind of conditioned already to an intermittent fasting schedule. Now, if you're not familiar with intermittent fasting, it's the process of basically eating on a specific schedule and having a caloric deficit. So basically meaning that you're watching your calories. Caloric deficit means that you're burning more of the calories that you actually have, right? So putting you in a deficit. So you do that usually by creating an eating schedule. I think usually like people will do, and my math is horrible, but like out of a 24-hour period, there's usually like a 6 or 7 hour, or like from anywhere from like 5 to like 7 hours to where you eat within that window and you fast for the rest of the rest of the day, right? So I've been more acclimated to that type of schedule because I've been, I guess, intermittent fasting. I don't know. It's been like a couple years now that I think about it, but it's not anything that I like truly like stick with, or it's like a strict regimen. It's just that now my body is kind of used to eating within that window time frame. So my window is usually like like 11 to 7, right? So I don't eat anything outside of that window for the most part. And I try to stick to the schedule, but sometimes, it isn't always, I'm not always there, but that is something that my body is more so used to. So that intermittent fasting kind of works for me as well. I'm already exercising about 3 to 4 times a week. Either I'm going to the gym or I'll do a workout session at home. So now they'll be more focused and structured on how I execute them, because I'm going to be planning them out. And, I already planned them out, but I'll be more detailed on, what I'm doing today, the progression of the workouts week by week. So, I'll have that. I limit sugars and processed foods. So I just really realized we don't really eat a lot of processed foods. I think the most that I would have that's processed is like frozen vegetables. And that's only because I just need to get to something quick. But I looked it up. They said it wasn't that bad, but I mean, the internet lies all the time. So who knows, right? Sugars, outside of the occasional snack, like I don't even want to say occasional snack. I still will have a Reese's if you got it in front of me, or a Snickers. You feel me? Like I'll still do those things, but like I won't really buy sweets like that. I try not to. So sugar's been pretty decent. I drink coffee, but I drink my coffee black. I don't need sweets or cream or anything like that. So that kind of helps. So also with reducing body fat, good thing to do is kind of limiting my carbs, right? Carbs is kind of good, which is fine. That means like no bread or reducing my bread intake. But potatoes, bro, you know how good potatoes are? French fries. Like, potatoes are truly my kryptonite. Any type of potato, fries, chips, mashed potatoes, hash browns, potato pancakes, them little Polish things that I can't think of the name of it. Pierogies. Them used to be so fire. So anyway, as you can see, like I love potatoes. So me trying to cut that out is gonna be challenging in itself. But I know that I'm gonna have to reduce that. And also, last thing is that Sundays are for meal preps. So my wife and I, we will usually already like prep our meals on Sunday when we're feeling like it. We don't always cook. We don't always eat what we cook though sometimes, right? Like you get tired. It'll get to like the Wednesday or whatever. And it's like, man, chicken again? You know what I mean? So it's like you get tired of it after a while, but it's good to at least have those meals already prepared because it saves time throughout the week and it keeps me on schedule when I'm actually eating the meals that I prepped, right? So I got those things working for me already. So that's a good handful of stuff that I'm already like doing before I even like structure this goal. So that makes me feel a lot better about being able to transition into this. So now I can incorporate that, right? So I've kind of went further about how I want to tackle these things on a daily. And I'm learning, of course, I talk about this all the time. Routine is important. Okay. I'm learning that it's vital for me. If I don't start off my day this way every day, I don't know how it's going to turn out. You know what I mean? Because it won't be, it may be my best. It may not be my best. If I didn't get up in the morning and I didn't go work out, or I didn't work out at home, or I waited a little bit later than when I would normally work out, then it does something to me where it throws me off a bit and it makes me feel like I'm already behind. Right. So now I know that routine is so important for me. I've worked on creating a schedule about how the weekly tasks have to be completed in order for me to stay on track. So I've done that with it's really simple. It's just going to be diet and exercise. So I'm just, tracking how I eat and I'm tracking how I work out. So Sundays is kind of a prepping for the weekday, right? So usually the wife and I will take our dog to the park and we're going to walk at least for a minimum of 3 miles, right? And then we go grocery shopping, come home, we start meal prepping for the week. So far, we've been doing at least 4 meals a week, 4 days a week, I would say. And the meals for me are going to consist of foods like chicken breast, ground chicken, salmon, tuna, cauliflower rice, broccoli, mixed vegetables, salad mixes. I'll have fruits. I'm really particular when it comes to fruits. Fruits that I actually really like are apples and grapes. For snacks, I'm trying to strip it as much as possible. So I'll have like nuts and steak bites, not the steak jerky, not beef jerky. Beef jerky I don't really care for, but steak jerky is a little different. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty fire. It's expensive though. I ain't gonna hold you. It is expensive, but it's fire. But those are like the snacks that I'll have. And lunch, I try to, if I don't have a meal already prepped, if I have a meal prep for dinner, then I'll make a salad or like a chicken, like I'll cut up some chicken breast and make a quick salad or something like that. I can do that pretty quickly for lunch. And then, so that's how Sunday is our place. For the rest of the week, for like Monday through Thursday, um, the goal is to work out where I get up. It works out where I get up anytime from like 4 to 6:30, and I'm either going to the gym, or if I can't make it to the gym, then I'm working out at home. But I have to work out in the morning, and it has to be one of the first things that I do in the morning, because that creates more energy towards me doing the things that I set out to do. Once I can like check that off my list of things to do that I needed to do for that day, I can tackle anything else. So it's like you do one of the tough things that you feel like you have to do in the morning, so the rest of the day is smooth sailing, right? So I got to work out in the morning. I don't eat until 11. So in the meantime, after the workout, I'll have coffee or I'll make a protein smoothie or something like that. That's going to hold me over until 11. Then once I can eat, I can make myself lunch. Or if I do make a late breakfast, then I'll use like chicken sausage or turkey sausage and eggs. I'll make some tuna or chicken or salmon salad or whatever, right, for lunch. A few hours later, have one of those snacks, depending on how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Like just have a snack that I've already talked about, and eating dinner by no later than 7 p.m. With the foods, I also want to track what I'm eating. So I said that I'm going to basically take a picture of everything that I eat, or everything that I eat and everything that I drink, so that it helps me with keeping a diet of everything that I have, and then also keeping the progress on like my Fitness Pal, kind of recording my macros, recording my calorie intake, things like that, to help measure my success, or where I need to work on, things like that. So I'm going to be using those things. Friday, so that was Monday through Thursday. Friday, it's not a gym day. It's more of a stretching or a yoga session for me. And then the rest of the day still falls in the same thing, right? Saturdays will be the day that I rest from workouts for the week. And it's usually like Saturday. The way that my mind works, of course, a lot of people's minds work, is like you work Monday through Friday, and then the weekends are just, you do whatever you want to do because you get all of your freedom back. So weekends are tricky for me, because it's like, it's really easy for me to like fall off from like eating clean, because shit, it's the weekend. Like, who wants a boring ass like chicken breast and broccoli and cauliflower rice when you could have a 6-piece from Harold's or something like that? Or you can, you get your wing ding dinner from the Coney or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can, that's what the weekend is for, right? But I have to be more cognizant about what I do on the weekend. So even if I do go out, I got to stick to the script. So I'll try to stick with like some more simple. If I'm going out, looking at, just whatever salads, or look at the healthier side of the menu, or whatever I find, while I'm out. So my only caveat though is date night. Date night, that's important because those are already planned. They're planned ahead, meaning that like I know that I'm gonna have those dates, but it's like that's when I can use my cheat meal. That's when I can like let it all hang out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I want to be able to have a cheat meal so I can enjoy myself and enjoy the company. You know what I mean? So date nights are the only times when I can have whatever I want, right? And it's a cheat meal, not a cheat day. There's a difference. There is a difference. So I've already kind of talked a little bit more about how I'm going to be holding myself accountable. I'm going to talk about, I'll probably work on giving updates throughout the podcast episodes, or just a snippet. Not only that, but I'll be more active on Instagram, basically with, just my progress. So you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow the Living Noir page, and you can also follow my personal page, Delaney L. And then I'll post my workouts. I'll post the activity circles from Apple to show, if I've closed my rings or just my activity, whatever. It doesn't matter if the workout was a good one or if it was just an all right one. I have to basically do that to show that I was doing anything. So it's a part of me holding myself accountable, right? So I'm going to record snippets of my workouts and I'll put them on my IG story. I take pictures of my meals when like I said, I was going to take pictures of my meals when I eat. Journaling. Journaling really helps for me because within that journaling, I'm creating my to-do list, right? Because I'm either brainstorming about what I need to do for the day, or I'm actually writing out that to-do list. So journaling in the morning is it's going to be extremely important for me to accomplish this goal, right? So after about 2 weeks, I want to track all my progress. So I'm going to be, continuing to update all of that. So it's really interesting, right? Because one, I've never been this vocal about a goal before, like open about it, like to other people. I have a bunch of goals of stuff, of course, and but I'm usually the one that's kind of like talking to myself or writing it out about the things that I want to do, because once I actually put words to it, that means that I actually have to do it. And I know me, right? If I say something, then that means that I'm going to do something. So, yeah, I figure like this is going to be the one that's really going to make me more accountable to doing what I'm saying that I'm going to do. It's a challenge for me because I'm nervous. The only thing that I'm really nervous about is just the consistency aspect, right? And the consistency of documenting all of this stuff daily versus just like the actual, like the dieting and the exercise, because I'm already kind of used to eating a certain way, and I'm already used to like at least being active. I won't say that like I'm consistent with the weekly workouts, right? Like there are weeks where I work out maybe not once or twice, at least twice a week. There are times where I go 5 times a week. You know what I mean? So it's just like I'm used to that, but I have to be more consistent with it, right? So that's what this is going to do, right? So let me know, like, if you at any point, like, for your boy some encouragement, or you have a goal yourself that you want to try to accomplish and you want to talk to me about ways that, you want to make it work for yourself, hit me up, you know what I mean? And encourage me, right? Encourage me. I need that. So that way I can continue to like stick with it, right? And by me sticking with it, I can help you stick with whatever you're trying to do, right? Because we're all on this goal to better ourselves, right? I'm trying to drop these LBs, not necessarily the pounds, but I'm trying to drop this body fat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do it, right? It's gonna happen. But I want to share this with you so we can do this together, and I can help you accomplish what you're trying to do and help you become more accountable to yourself, because you owe it to yourself. I owe it to myself, right? So this episode is going to probably air May 6th. So by the time the 1st of May happens, I'll be sure to like announce what the goal of the month is. And like I said, hit me up, DM me, do whatever you need to do for support, or to talk about, what you may want to do to set your goal for this month, and how you want, and how you want to hold yourself accountable, or things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a village, y'all. Like, truly, it takes a village. So anything that I could do to help, let me know, reach out to me, and we'll go from there. But I'm excited about it all together. So that's my goal for this month. So again, it is for me to drop my body fat and my BMI percentages by 2 percentage points by the end of the month. Right. Currently, right now, again, I'm at my body fat percentage is at 35% and my BMI is at 41%. Right. So I want to get those two down to 3% and to 39% respectively. All right. So, all right, cool. So we wrapped up the goal of the month. I'm going to hit you with one more ad, and then I'm going to talk about me going skydiving and how that actually, that whole experience and what I learned from it. So before we get into that, we're going to go ahead and hit you with this next ad, and we're going to go ahead and get into it right now. All right, y'all. The Living Noir podcast is brought to you by Honey Hair Co. Make your hair dreams a sweet reality. Since 2017, Honey Hair Co. has provided exceptional products and services for more than 10,000 orders. Explore premium quality wigs, bundles, closures, and frontals in a wide variety of patterns. Shop today at one of their brick and mortar stores that's located in Atlanta, Georgia, St. Louis, Missouri, and Chicago, Illinois. You can even shop online and have it shipped anywhere in the US. So visit honeyhairco.com today and make your hair dreams a sweet reality. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, we're back. And so now, what I want to go over and talk about is about the time that I went skydiving and what I learned from that experience, right? Because it was pretty cool, man. It was really dope. Now I'm thinking about it again. But last summer, so this is June. Was it June? No, actually, it was July of 2021. I jumped out of a fucking airplane, bro, and it was one of the simple, like, it was hands down the greatest solo experience that I ever had in my life, right? But what makes the story so great is that I had to overcome some adversity in order to even get to that point, right? But before I even get to the initial, I'm sorry, to the adversity that I had to go through, I want to talk about how I even got to that point of jumping out of an airplane, right? So to go back, I got the idea when I was 19. I was living in St. Louis, and a close friend of mine, she had went skydiving for her 18th birthday. She showed us the video, and at that point, I was instantly hooked, right? I was just like, I want to do this. But that was like the first time that I had ever seen anyone that I knew, like, actually jump out of an airplane, right? So, and actually live to tell about it. So before that, I always thought that it was, more for the like exclusive and the exotic type, you know what I mean? Like, I thought it was just like more of more of an affluent type event, right? So I never really thought too much about it. I just kind of figured that, it's only for those types of people. And I never really envisioned myself jumping from an airplane, but I always wanted to do it. It wasn't like I was scared or like the fear of heights or anything like that. It was just like, I don't know. I just never really saw myself doing that. So, I kind of went away from it, obviously, but that was the first time I was exposed to it when I was 19. So we fast forward a decade, right? I'm 29 and damn, 10 years. Yeah. Wow. But I was like re-inspired, right? Cause around this time, Will Smith, he was documenting his experience of going skydiving for his 50th birthday. And after him speaking out about his experience and what he learned about himself and actually watching him do the jump, I was hooked again, right? I was like, I got to do this. This is what I want to do. So at that point is when I began to start thinking more about how I'm going to follow through with doing the things that I said to desire to do, because life is short, man. You hear this stuff all the time. Life is short. You don't get a chance to revisit everything if you don't you can't go back on tomorrow because it's already passed. Don't cry over spilled milk, all of that stuff. So it was like, I'm going to do this. So just like everything else, I set out a game plan, right? So I said that I wanted to do this for my 30th birthday, which was coming up in the following June. And around this time, this was August of 2019. So I had to figure out a couple things. I had to figure out, where can I go? I'm in Chicago. Like, there's not a lot of open spaces. So open spaces for people to actually dive without hitting a building or something like that. So I was able to find a location, and the nearest location was located in Michigan City, Indiana. So it's about an hour from where I'm at now. So that's not bad, right? The next thing, of course, was going through the website and trying to figure out, okay, what are the weight requirements? Can I actually get on this thing, right? Is it going to be safe, right? All of that. And I was nervous because with the weight requirement, before even looking into all of this, I was already like telling myself, like, bro, you can't do it because you're going to be outside of the requirement, right? Like, I was low key already doubting myself because before I went on the website, before, I asked anything or I researched anything, I was like, man, no, you're too big. You can't do that. You're too big. Right. So I was already telling myself that. Right. So I had to push through that to even get myself to a point to where it's like, no, like, you can do this. Like, if if you see other people doing it, that means it's a possible thing to get done. So you can do it. Right. It just will require more work in order for me to do that. So on the website, they said that their limit was like 300 pounds. So I think around the time in like August of 2019, I was probably like 320, 315, something like that, right? So I knew that I was going to have to put some work in order for me to get down to the weight that I needed to, right? So, and we fast forward March of 2020, March 13th, 2020, for me, actually. That was, of course, when the world stopped and Corona came and just shut everything and everyone down. So that delayed me, of course, by a year. And in hindsight, it probably helped because it gave me more time to get down and weight. It gave me more time to plan it out. It helped in hindsight now that I actually think about it, but it sucked during the time. I mean, the whole thing sucked. COVID, fuck you, COVID. Anyway, so we fast forward, and now we're going to June of 2021, right? And of course, I wanted to do it on my actual birthday. I don't know, you want to do exotic stuff on your actual birthday. And it's kind of a sentimental thing or whatever, but it would have been kind of cool, right? So I've been checking the weather, like leading up to that day to see if it was going to be, cloudy, if it was going to be good weather, if it was going to rain, blah, 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 right? And so like I'm talking about it now more with, friends and family about me going skydiving because that's happening. That's going to be a thing. And of course, a couple of my family members from Detroit were like, yo, we want to come. We want to see it for ourselves, whatever. That cool. So they come out on the day of the jump or they came out actually the day before to kick it with me. And I'm like, all right, bet, appreciate that. I love the support, whatever. So we get to the day of the jump and the day comes. Now, mind you, the weather was supposed to be clear as hell. It was supposed to be nice, 80 degrees, like a beautiful day. The day of the jump comes and it's partly cloudy with overcast. So I'm like, what is this? What is this? Right? So I took the liberty of calling the facility before having to drive out there for an hour and just ask them, like, hey, what's the weather like out there? You know what I'm saying? I'm checking the weather here and it's like partly cloudy here. So I just want to make sure, like, are y'all doing jumps today? Is it going to be postponed? Is the weather clear out there? And the guy's like, yeah, everything's fine out here. It's beautiful. Like we're doing jumps today. There's no clouds in the sky. Bet, right? I'm on my way. So I'm flooring it. I'm driving out there. I get all the way out there. And as I'm driving out there, I'm looking around. I'm looking in the sky. I'm like, man, this shit still look cloudy like it do in Chicago. I don't know what he's talking about. Then I get there. And then I get all the way up there and I'm like, yo, like, hey, I'm ready to check in to do this. And she said, yeah, sorry, we're not doing any jumps today. The weather's pretty bad out there. So the clouds were low and it's not visible enough for the pilot. So we're not going to do any jumps today. Sorry. And I was like, what the You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I just talked to Jeremy, and he told me that everything was a go about an hour and a half ago, right? She's like, yeah, I don't know why he does that, blah blah blah. And it's like, why y'all got him here and he misinforming people? That's not cool. Who gonna give me my gas? Who gonna give me my gas? Ain't nobody gonna give me my gas. Gas is $6 right now. And of course, ain't nobody say anything. I didn't say that last part, but whatever. So I couldn't go that day. I was livid. I was hot. I was hot more so about being misled. And then I was also frustrated because it didn't go the way that I wanted it to. Because I wanted to jump on my birthday. That was just the spiritual thing, whatever you want to call it. I wanted to do it on my birthday, right? So couldn't do it. You know, can't cry over spilled milk. It is what it is. So I made the plans to go next week, the following Saturday. So a week later, the weather was beautiful. Couldn't be any more perfect. I get to the facility. I checked right in. They said, right this way. You know, I had weighed myself already like several times before even going out there, right? Because I was still nervous that, you know, I was going to come in overweight. I always had these, of course, like anxiety things that are like, no, bro, your big ass ain't going to be able to jump. I was nervous, right? But I knew that I was under the weight threshold. I knew that I was. In my head, I was like, I did this already. I've already weighed myself, right? So I get there. I came in at 269. I'm like, yes, let's go, right? So it's official. Like, this is actually happening today, right? I'm like, yo, like, I'm about to jump out of a plane. So it was like, once I passed the hurdle of the weather and the weight requirement, it started truly like settling in for me that like, I'm about to do this. Like, this is about to happen. I'm going to jump out of a plane at like 15,000 or 20,000. I don't even know what the altitude was, but I'm like, I'm about to do this. So bet, right? So after I check in and then I mean the cost of it wasn't really that bad, right? They range from like anything from like $230 to $340 for the different packages that you have. I chose the 340 package because it gave it allowed, like, you do a GoPro video, you get pictures of the jump, they edit the whole thing up for you and give you I think it's like a 3-minute video or something like that of the jump. And I'm like, yeah, of course, I gotta have this. This is my first time doing it. So, I'm going to figure out how I can include maybe a couple of clips, a visual of the jump, or if anything, I'll just upload. That's probably what I'll end up doing. I'm just going to upload the video of the jump to YouTube under the Living Noir podcast page on YouTube. So please make sure that you are subscribed. So that way, you know, when it is released, you can check it out for yourself. But it was an amazing time, obviously. Right. So, check that out. And if you follow me on Instagram, you can go through my Instagram page because it's also on my Instagram. You can see those videos. So now getting into the place, right? Like looking at the actual place, it's set up like a hangar, like a old plane hangar. And it's pretty open. They had waiting areas for like the customers' families who were just going to watch. So they had like a sitting area for them. And the way that the company did the jumps is that they grouped out the customers. Basically, and they also wanted to make sure that they had enough. You know, they didn't want to overcrowd the plane, of course, right? So since I was flying by myself, they put me in a group with 3 other people. So it was 2 guys, it was 2 dudes, 2 brothers. They came in, or 2 black dudes that came in together. And then there was another guy who came in who was by himself. So the 2 guys that came in together, they were like just two best friends, it seemed like, you know what I mean? But it was like clear that, you know, one of them was more excited to be there than the other. Like it was his idea and his boy was just kind of going along with it, you know? So it was like, all right, yeah, to support you, I guess I'll come along with you. And it was, you could see it, you know, he was trying to play it cool, but he was funny. And then the other guy, like I said, he came by himself and, I ended up talking to him about it. And he was like, yeah, you know, I was supposed to go and meet up with a friend of mine to go do something totally different. And the friend of mine's bailed. And then I just had another thought, like, I'm just going to go skydiving today. And then he just woke up and went to, do skydiving the same day. I always thought that was like real cool or whatever. He was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it today and I'm going to go. So I thought that was dope. So I'm in a group with them and it's all four of us, right? So we're getting set up to where we're getting ready, we're getting informed about, what to do on the plane, how it's going to work, the procedures and all of that, right? I'm getting sized for the harnesses and I'm standing there as one of the instructors are putting the harness on me, right? And I'm just kind of taking in the sights, right? I'm just looking around. I'm like, man, this is pretty dope. I'm excited. I'm geeked at this point, but I'm in the zone. I'm zoned out. And then the homeboy who was only going because his friends was there, he looks at me and he's like, hey man, you good, bro? You good over there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He was like, man, you sure you good over there, man? You kind of look, you quiet. You look a little nervous, man. You right? You good? You're gonna be all right. And I'm like, bro, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to do this. You look like you scared though. You know what I mean? Like you doing a lot of talking. Are you nervous? Like you kind of, and he kind of laughed it off or whatever. Him and his boy, they, just laughed it off or whatever. Right. They were cool though. Those dudes were cool and the other guy was cool too. So it was like, we were just kind of like chopping it up, ribbing each other or whatever. Right. So we're talking, the four of us amongst ourselves, and we come up with a collective idea of how we want to get off the plane, like who's going to do what and what order. So we had all decided that I go last. I didn't make that decision. It wasn't like I said, hey, I want to go last or anything like that. It was just like, it just kind of worked out that way. Right. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go last. I don't care. I'm with whatever. Let's get it. So we get ready to board the plane. And then the instructor is like, whoa, wait. What's going on? Talking about the order because we lined up in the order. He was like, no, your big ass going first. He didn't say it like that, but he was like, no, you're going to go first. And then we're going to, set it up, after you. So I'm like, oh shit. So you mean I'm going to be the first one to get off? I'm like, okay, cool. That's going to be, you know what I mean? I was kind of already mentally prepared for it to be in the last one, but whatever. It don't even matter. Right. So we get on the plane and my instructor, shout out to him. I can't remember his name. He was dope though. But if you know me, I love corny jokes. I love corny jokes, right? So we're on a plane and we get on the plane and it's a small plane and it's got like two benches, like two benches that you just straddle. Like you just straddle the bench and it probably was enough to fit like 8 people on it, right? So it's us 4 and then our instructor. So the way we were sitting on the plane was you have the 2 parallel benches and then one on the left, one on the right. And then you have instructor, skydiver, instructor, skydiver, instructor, skydiver, just like that, right? And we're straddled along the bench. So behind me is my instructor. And, he's like, like I said, I love a good corny joke. So he comes to me with an icebreaker as we're getting like strapped and he's tethering himself to me. And he's like, it's funny how I always find myself in these peculiar situations. And I was just like, oh, we here for it. You know what I mean? It was, we about to have a good time. So, I knew it was probably something that he literally says to everyone, but it was cool for me because it was like, all right, bet this guy, trying to help me take the edge off of it or whatever. I love it. Let's do it. Right. So he starts telling me how the process is going, how it's going to work. Now, mind you, we're in the airplane and we're taxiing. So we're getting ready to take off. So it's like, I'm in my head, like, listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's saying. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Don't die. Don't die. Like I'm just like trying to make sure that I don't fuck up or I don't, it's not my fault basically. Right. And so he's giving me the information and he's like, all right, now look, when we reach the altitude, we're going to sit on the floor directly in front of the benches. Okay. Then you are going to lift with your hips and pull your legs back to move outside of the plane, to put your legs in front of you outside of the plane. Okay? Legs go out the door first. And then I will let you know when we will jump. You got it? I was like, yeah. Okay. So sit on the floor. Okay. Lift with my hips. Okay. Turn. Legs gonna be. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So I'm nervous. I'm like, fuck. Okay. Just pay attention. I'm like, bet. Okay. I'm going to remember all of this, right? So then we were in the air. And then this is when shit got real because we're at the altitude. I'm sitting. He's like, all right, sit on the floor of the plane. And I did exactly what he said. And then another person like lifted up the door. And that would, at that time is when I realized like, hey, I've never been on a plane where they opened up the damn door and you can just see death right there. It's right in front of you, right? It was really scenic though, because I mean, it was, you know, you have the landscaping and, you know, just like how you look out of a plane. That's literally what it was. Like when you're on an airplane and you're looking out the window and you see all of that, it was that, but there was nothing in front of me. Like I could put my hand and wave. I was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? So I'm getting a little elevated. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm 15,000 feet in the air or something like that. So of course I'm nervous, right? So then he's like, all right, this is the time where you lift your hips to move out the door, legs first. So I'm like, don't. I was scared because I was like, I don't want to like, don't roll over. You know what I'm saying? We're going to roll over and roll up out this plane and I'm going to just fall and blah, blah, blah. Like I was like kind of nervous at that point, but I lifted up my hips. I lifted with my hips, moved my body, started moving my legs out the door. So it had got to a point to where like I said, we're tethered. So it had gotten to a point to where like 75% of my body is literally like hanging out of the plane. And my legs are just flapping, like my whole body is just like flapping. I felt like a flag, you know what I mean? Just flapping in the breeze, right? And I'm just all I can see is the ground in front of me. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, because I mean, it's loud, so you can't really hear anything while I'm just like, you know, in this position to where most of my body is hanging out of the plane and I have no control over it, right? So it was just like, and he had me in that position, which felt like hours, but it may have been like a couple seconds or whatever, right? So I'm in this position and I'm just like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa. And so I'm in my own head and then I didn't even realize it. Before I realized it, I just felt my body moving forward. And then I realized that I didn't move my body forward, right? And I'm like, oh shit, we're jumping. We are jumping, right? And I was like, oh shit. Yo. Like there's literally like as I open my eyes and for like a split second, I swear to you, for like maybe a half a second or 2 seconds or something like that, right? I had never felt that level of fear before in my life, right? My heart dropped and I just felt helpless because it's like you are watching your impending doom, right? You are just watching it. And it's like there is nothing that I can do about it in this moment. And I felt helpless, right? I'm like, it's over. It was scary as hell for like 2 seconds. And then immediately after that, I pulled myself back because I realized, okay, you're skydiving right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I realized, okay, the instructor is here. He's strapped on the back. He also said that he does probably 20 jumps a day and he's been doing this for a long time, right? So this is a walk in the park for him. So he's, you know, here to make you feel calm or basically he's the safety net, if you will. Right. And perfect. Fantastic. So after that 2 seconds was up and I caught myself and I came back and I realized that everything is going to be okay, man, it was a vibe because it was like I remember that I asked for this, right? This is something that I wanted. And then once that moment passed, that moment of fear passed, I was so blissful. I was so hyped. I mean, I'm yelling, I'm screaming, but I'm not like nervous screaming. I'm pumped. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, let's go, let's go. You know what I mean? I'm just hyped because I had never felt like that before, right? I had never felt so much excitement, you know, like, and we were free falling. I'm free falling for like maybe about 5 to 10 seconds, which pretty much felt like forever. And I'm yelling, screaming, you know, all of this stuff. My face is flapping, you know what I'm saying? All of that, you know, all of that stuff. And I'm just geeked. And then he pulls the chute. And then we went from all of this like noise and this power and this speed and chaos all happening at the same time. And then now it's just, we're floating. It's silence. We're floating. And I just took a second to reflect, like, what the hell is happening right now? I was floating and I was just feeling all of the feelings of just feeling extremely blessed and graceful. And grateful that I had an experience like this, right? So as we're floating down, you know, the instructor's like, hey, you know, how did you, you know, what'd you think about it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, this shit lit. And like, I'm going on and talking to him about how dope it was, you know, and then he's like, hey, you want to see some shit? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to see some. So then he starts to, because he's got the chute open and he can navigate it with his left and his right hand in the air. So he starts to pull one way to the left, and then we start anchoring to the left, and then he pulls to the right, and we go in the other direction to the right. And we, you know, it's like it felt like a roller coaster because I'm just like kind of like throughout the air, just gliding through the air as we're gliding to the ground, right? And I'm like, man, it felt like a roller coaster. I started yelling again, and I'm like, man, it was just so dope. It was the best, right? And in that moment, it was a moment where it was like, it was clarity for me that like, man, this is truly bliss. This is truly happiness. I felt that, you know what I'm saying? So now I've landed, right? And so of course I was the first person to come off, and the people that were on my plane were starting to land as well. So after me was the brother who wanted to jump, like the two guys who came together, and then the guy who actually wanted to jump, he landed next. And then afterwards was his friend who landed. So I'm on the ground, I'm taking off my stuff, and I'm watching the friend the friend land, right? And so to go back a little bit, when I was getting ready to land, the instructor was like, yo, it is very important that when we land, right, we land together, you have to lift your legs as high as you can and land on your butt. Because when you land, I don't land, right? I'm the second person to come down after you. So if you don't land on your butt or your legs start to drag, you can truly hurt yourself or break a leg or anything like that. We can start tumbling, and keep your legs up. I was like, got you. I can do that. Keep my legs up. And so that's what I ended up doing. And that's how I came in, and I was gliding to the ground, and I landed on my butt. And that's how you're supposed to do it. 10 landing, right? So I'm watching the friend, and he starts to come down. And as he's coming down, I'm like, his leg's not up. His leg's not up. His leg's not up. Ooh, his legs wasn't up. Ugh. They got dragged across the ground. My man's passed out, bro. He passed out mid-air, dog. Like what is that? He passed out mid-air. Now, he was fine, right? He didn't get injured. He didn't need major medical assistance. He just needed some milk. Okay. When he when he landed and he came down, he just like kind of was slumped a little bit, a little disoriented, but he was good, right? So we get back into the hangar, and he like we're walking towards each other, and he like kind of pushes past me to sit down at the bench, and he's just like, you know, like just like kind of like all over the place trying to get his bearings back and everything like that. And it was hilarious, bro. Because like, hey, you were scared. Just if you're scared, say you're scared. You know what I'm saying? That's all you got to do. But overall, man, like, this was such a life changing experience for me. I enjoyed every second of it. I even got plans to do it again with a family member in a couple of weeks. Like, like for them, they wanted to do it for their birthday. So I was like, yo, you want to have somebody else to do it with you? I got you. You know what I mean? So I'm maybe doing it at the end of this month. Who knows? Well, I'll keep you posted on that. But it was dope. The experience itself was dope. But the greater thing for me and what I learned is that I accomplished a goal that I set out. Now, it took me 12 years, but I did it. And I had time to reflect on all of the different factors in my way that led up to this. Like, I was even able to overcome a lot of the things that I told myself that I couldn't do, which made me feel even more confident in my ability. Because even if because a lot of times when you're talking to yourself, it's weird because the voice in your head is talking to you as if it's projecting you to be the best version of yourself, even if it isn't truly realistic at the moment. And that stuff can actually like really mess with you. So it's really important about changing that narrative of how you talk to yourself, right? Because I was telling myself already before anything that I couldn't do it. I was way too much. You know what I mean? I'll never be able to do it. Oh, nobody who looks like me jumps out of airplanes. You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that I'm telling myself, even though it's something that I want to do. It's something that I enjoyed. Like, I've always admired it. So why not go for it? Right? But I just learned that, like, whatever you want to do is not going to be like a true, like, A to B immediate jump, right? There's going to be things that happen in the middle of that that's going to throw you off. And it's truly going to show how determined you are to actually accomplish that goal. Because will you let all of these things that's going to stop you from getting from A to B actually stop you, right? So for me, those obstacles was my weight, was COVID, it was the financial ability to even pay for it, it was the weather, it was my own internal messaging, like all of those things. And I was able to still come throughout all of that and accomplish something that I truly enjoyed, right? So I say all of this to say, like, if I can do that, right, by taking a moment to actually like sit there and truly identify what I want for myself, then you can do it too. And it's all about challenging every thought, right? Don't create your own limitations. A lot of times we do that before we even get off the couch, right? We tell ourselves, nah, man, we see stuff on TV. We see stuff on Instagram all the time and we compare ourselves to where we're supposed to be on Instagram, or we aspire to have so many likes or so many followers, or we aspire to have this huge ass mansion or blah, blah, blah. But then we start thinking about the stuff we can do to change that. And then we tell ourselves that we can't do it. So we stay on the couch and keep scrolling. That's too easy. It's too easy. Challenge every thought. If you start thinking, why can't you do something? Start thinking, why is it that you feel as if you can't do it? And truly sit with that. Because when you sit with that, it's truly telling you how you feel about yourself, right? And if you truly feel about that way about yourself, then you know yourself, right? And that's cool. You know yourself. But if you know that thought that you have is ridiculous, like when you say it, but it's truly like holding you over, challenge it, bro. Take a second and truly challenge why you think that way. And then get to that root and work from there. But it's all about unpacking. It's all about unpacking. But it's important because there's so many things out here in this world that we want to do, that we aspire to do, that, we may not even be exposed to doing, and we stop ourselves from doing it. Like, don't create your own limitations. Challenge every thought. Literally, challenge every thought, right? And then the other thing that I learned is that don't go skydiving if you don't want to go. It's cool if you don't want to go. You don't get no more cool points. They're not redeemable anywhere. If you don't want to go, don't go, right? Go because you want to, not because somebody else is going, right? It's not for everybody. It's okay. You're not a less of a person if you don't want to do that. You can create your own type of skydiving thing or whatever. Shout out to Meech because I almost said something else. But do what works for you. Do what makes you happy, right? So create your own adventure. I don't know. It could be anything, right? You could do something adventurous like, I don't know, drive around town with like expired license plate tags for 6 months, whatever your adventure is, you know what I'm saying? However, if you want to have a trip to the grocery store that's adventurous, do that, right? Do what works best for you. I'm not saying that you need to have expired tags. Go get your tags re-upped immediately. Okay. I was just joking. But yeah, that's my story about going skydiving for the first time. And I really hope that, just the story helps, or I hope it was entertaining. Not only that, but you truly get the gist of go after what you want and don't become your own obstacle. Right. So get after it. So, all right. Thank you for listening. But before, of course, we get out of here, I'm going to hit you with the audiobook for this week. Last week was the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Great book. Gave me 4 principles that I needed to incorporate. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. It's very simple, right? So keep those 4 principles, write them down, put them somewhere. Visuals always help, right? This week's book is called Outliers. And that's by Malcolm Gladwell. You may have heard of Malcolm Gladwell. He's got books like, of course, Outliers. Things the Dog Saw, I think is another one. Talking to Strangers. He has a bunch of books. He's very, he's a great author. Okay. So in this book, he provides a lot of insights from most of the successful people in the world, such as like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and many other people. And he talks about, some of the actions that they've taken that kind of sets them apart from others, like from everyone else, that makes them great, right? Those outliers, what they consider to be outliers. So you can check out the book. It's in the Apple Books library. I'm not sure about a free YouTube link or anything like that, but you can just check it out. And let me know what you think. But we've come to the end of another fantastic episode of the Living the Wire podcast with Delaney. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, all of that stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I upload every week. Follow the podcast on IG and Facebook. Living the Wire on Instagram, LIVINGN0IR on Instagram, and tell a friend about the show. Just one person. I don't know. Put it on your story. Do whatever you need to do. Let's see how far we can grow this thing. But until the next time, y'all, I appreciate you. I love you. Okay, keep moving forward. Peace out.